Okay, so this is supposed to be a 10-minute presentation. Last month, August 25, 26, JAXA organized a 2-week workshop on KiboCUBE Academy. And in the same city, Japan had the TCAD number 8 meeting. So we're not directly related to TCAD, but it was decided to have them side by side. In case you don't know where Tunisia is, here's the map. It's squeezed between Libya and Algeria. It has about 12 million people. So the main purpose of this two-day event was to shed light on the KiboCUBE Academy. Let me read it here. It's an educational activity under the Access to Space for All initiative provided by UNISEC and JAXA in cooperation with UNISEC-Global. So there are 3 entities involved in this. I'll explain later on why this academy was created. By the way, you'll have access to this PDF, and therefore, with that PDF, you can click on all the links that are in the PDF. So there's no need to write down any of the links. So this was actually presented live. The KiboCUBE Academy was live on site in Tunisia. This event was about 2.5 hours, and it's recorded. You can see it on YouTube. Here are some of the speakers of this KiboCUBE. Okay. Recording in progress. So I attended as the on-site representative of UNISEC, and JAXA asked me to deliver the keynote address. So this is the venue, and that's me at the podium giving the keynote address. It was about 15 minutes. By the way, the entire presentation is appended at the end of this file. That's why the file is so big. So on the afternoon of the 25th, we had the KiboCUBE Academy by JAXA, UNISEC, organized by UNISEC. So why did JAXA, UNISEC create KiboCUBE Academy? There are many reasons, but the main reason is to help newcomers, non-space engineers, enter the field of putting CubeSats into space. So we believe any engineer can do this when equipped with sufficient knowledge. And so fundamentally, KiboCUBE Academy is a large set of recorded lectures, and they're all accessible for free. So if you click on this link, you have access to all these space engineering lectures by experts in Japan, by Japanese professors, all done in English. These are some of the on-site participants. This is the venue. More of the venue. This was the reception on the last day. At the far right is Ishii Viji, Vice President of JAXA. So about 10 people from JAXA came to this event. And UNISEC was also heavily involved. So the rest of the slides are the same slides that I presented in my keynote address. Nothing has been changed. The duration of this address is 15 minutes. I don't have 15 minutes, so I'm just going to go very quickly through these slides. I invite you to look at it, read it slowly later on. So this is the first slide. Is building a CubeSat a good way for a country to get started in space? Well, I claim the answer is yes. So I spent this whole presentation making the case for this. KiboCUBE was launched by JAXA, and it's to help countries get started in space. It does that by inserting 1U CubeSats into space. But then we had the issue of why do countries need to get started in space, and I discussed that for a while. Well, if you buy a satellite, you acquire nearly zero design and manufacturing skills. So that's why we think people should build satellites themselves to acquire those skills. It's like the smartphone, you know, you can use it, but everyone ends up using it, and if you want to be part of the process, you have to be able to make things like that. These are the countries of Africa. The red ones have put a satellite into space. So that means 47 countries have not done it yet in Africa. So it's a very large market for the space industry. I gave some examples like Mauritius. Before going into space, you have to ask a few questions to yourself. The game changer is this paradigm shift from old space to new space. And this game change is significant for Africa because it brought down the hurdles of getting into space.
George?
Yeah, so now I come to the central thesis of my presentation. Why you should build a CubeSat. So number one, if you want to get serious about the space industry, you need human resources, okay? And building satellites is one way to achieve that. Number two is learn by doing. I'm not going to read this slide, but you have to get your hands dirty. You have to physically build satellites. And number three, a 1U CubeSat is a reasonable proposition. It's not that expensive. It can be done in less than 2 years. Scores of nations have done it already. So the point is, if your country hasn't done it yet, it certainly should consider doing this. So the bottom line is the importance of capacity building. And then I talked about how Japan is helping non-spacefaring nations with capacity building in many ways. 3 examples, JAXA, UNISEC, and QTech. I'm not going to go into this because you can read this PDF on your own. And since I've spoken already about 10 minutes, so I would like to say thank you for your attention. Back to you, Nate.
Thank you very much, George. I will just ask if there is any audience questions, please pop it in chat. Do we have any questions for George? We can probably take one. Okay, if there's no questions, I just want to ask you, George, do you know, obviously this is talking about building capability and workforce development, but what's the difference there in terms of how Japan approaches, you know, capability building elsewhere compared to technology transfer? Is there a significant difference in how the Japanese government see that?
I don't think there's any unified Japanese government position on this. It's more like what QTech wants to do. At QTech, we want to do capacity building in Africa, and we think the only effective way is to bring students to Japan and have them build the satellites inside our laboratories. Prof. Cho always says this, you cannot learn how to build a satellite by reading books. That's exactly true, but a lot of universities try that. They don't have labs, they just sort of give lectures and tell students this is how you build a satellite. But we feel that if you really want to understand the space industry, you have to have students physically build satellites on site. So that's our approach at CubeSat.